What's up, board game nerds, and welcome to another board game review or preview. We're talking about the game Type 7. Are you into war games? Are you into playing games by yourself? Then this game might be something for you. My thoughts directly after the rules. So when everything is put together, this is what the game Type 7 looks like. You don't get it like this. It comes in all of these different punch boards, and you punch everything out just like it sees right there, and you put everything together. I know there's a lot to see here, but take just a second and admire this wonderful U-boat that I took hours to build and paint and to make beautiful for you guys to all look at. Oh, and a torpedo came out. Everything looks really great in this game, and you have a lot of really cool pieces. This is all laser cut wood, and this definitely took a lot of time to make, and it takes definitely a lot of time to put together. But enough about that. Let's talk about how the game works. You are controlling this U-boat. You can play this from 1 to 2 players, but it's mostly really just a solo game. I probably would never play this 2 players and don't recommend it either. But you're going through and you're trying to complete different missions, and the missions say different things, like you're supposed to try to take out as many targets in this mission as possible because you're trying to gain experience with your crew, and submarines are very new in the war, and this is really a campaign game. So you play through different missions and you can get experience points, victory points, and so on. And you can eventually spend those to upgrade your ship, upgrade your crew, and I'll explain that in just a second. But more specifically, you come and you say, okay, we want to go left and we want to go to this cargo area where we know cargo ships are, and you roll some dice, and the dice say whether or not an encounter happens. And then normally you take these different discs. These are the different ships. So this one says torpedo on it. This one says ghost on it because you hear noise and nothing's really there. There's even whales. I mean, what more could you ask for in this game? Mines. You got tankers and all sorts of different ships. So it tells you, depending upon what type of sea area you are in, if it's more likely to have cargo ships or destroyers or things like that in there. And you might mix 1 destroyer with 2 cargo ships and a tanker in there, and then you pull 3 of these discs out, and then in our example we're going to have 2 here, and you roll a dice and it tells you where to place them. Let's say we roll the die, and okay, so we definitely want to place them at 2. But anyway, you place them wherever it tells you to place them, and that makes a difference because these are in different locations in relation to your submarine here. You're not moving the submarine along this track, you're moving around the ships on here, and so it'll show you if you're closer or further away. The closer you are, the easier it is to hit them, and you also have to roll dice and things to talk about the daily conditions. You can be emerged or submerged, so you can be above or below water. There could be storms. You roll the die, you roll a 5 to 6, there's a storm. If you roll between a 1 and a 4, you have clear weather. You can dive deep, you can move as quietly as possible, and you either have nighttime and daytime. Obviously, it's easier to see things in the day, so it's easier to hit things, and you can do 13 different actions during the event phase where you have a battle that you can commence. You could try to sneak past these people if you thought it was too dangerous. But in the early phase, you really want to fight, so you get experience, and later on in the game, they might become situations where it's very dangerous and you're just trying to survive and move past a few ships. But you could do things like you could scan, use your scanner, and it would tell you that you hear a noise on your sonar. Other things could tell you, you could use your periscope and try to look while you're underwater, and if you are successful, you roll a die and it's high enough, this one would absolutely be high enough, you would be able to see that, oh, this ship is a destroyer. I probably don't want to go and mess with that guy too quickly, or I want to hit him really hard because destroyers are really dangerous. Cargo ships are the easy ships to hit. But these do all sorts of different things, and sometimes they're not necessarily trustworthy. If they become aware that you're there, then you spin this little doohickey here, and the alert goes up, and you would get different results for the different things that you push up. Also, they have actions on their turn, and the actions are shown down here. This one would be move, and it would try to do a scan to try to find you, so that way it could shoot you. And if you get damage, you get to pull damage out of this nice little bag here. And damage is always super fun because it has different effects on. If they damage you with a high enough number, you pull 2 of them out. If it's lower, you pull 1 out. And so for this one, you would lose some torpedoes. For this one, you would lose 6 ammo. And these are the ammo it's talking about, because you not only have your torpedoes that you can shoot people with, and then you roll dice to see if you hit them or not. You also have explosive rounds and normal rounds that you can shoot different torpedoes with. You even have a flat gun where you can shoot different airplanes with. And look at this, the torpedoes are also different. You have electric, steam, normal, and you can build them in different combinations. You can see this one has an interesting tail, but you can you just a little wiggle and a pull and it comes right out, and you can combine that with a different one, the normal tail, and they do different things depending upon how you use them. For example, the electric ones don't alert them very much. They do affect the ships negatively and they do cause damage, but it's not a huge explosion, so they are not as aware as quickly that you're there, so you might be able to do some more damage over different turns. And so you have damage on your ship, and the moment you have 10 damage, you've lost the game. The goals are normally stated that you need to kill something, or go and deliver this thing, or go and pick this thing up, or fix your radio, and then you have to come back to a shipyard. And when you come back to a shipyard, you've successfully completed that chapter of the campaign, and you can move on to the next campaign. Speaking of campaigns, we have different things after chapter 7, I believe it was. You can upgrade not only your crew members, but you can upgrade elements on your boat, on your U-boat, like twin deck guns. And who doesn't want 2 deck guns? Because that's awesome. You also have different crew members that you can upgrade. These are level 3. So first, you would be able to acquire a crew member, number 1. And then 2, over time, you would be able to upgrade with enough experience points that crew member to level 3. And they give you certain different abilities. And I'm not going to go over them all right now, but it's written exactly on the card. And you keep playing until, well, you've gone through the whole campaign, or this just isn't fun anymore. But if you've already bought this game and you're interested in it, I'm sure you're playing it until the end. But I definitely find this area very interesting, where we're maneuvering ourselves, and that changes the position of the ships. And we're trying to either sneak or be very aggressive. Like I said, you can also come above water. And anytime you shoot torpedoes, you take them from the front here, you shoot some torpedoes and you lose those torpedoes. And later on, you can even ask for a supply drop if you're in a friendly zone. And anytime you move, you lose these fuel tokens. I mean, nothing is underdone. All of the product in this thing is overdone and super intense. And I mean, once you build this, it'll never fit back in the game box, but you have a nice box for the pieces. But you could probably set this anywhere on a shelf or next to the TV, or put it anywhere your wife might hate it. You decide what you want to do with it. But that's basically the general rules of Type 7. Here's my thoughts about the game. Okay, now that you guys have seen this game in all of its glory, Type 7. Let's talk first about the components. Firstly, this is not an easy game to produce. Anything made out of wood is going to take a lot of time, and you can probably bet that it's going to be relatively expensive. If you look at the Kickstarter alone, you have an option to just buy the boat, and that's alone is around $30 or $40, and to buy the actual full game, you need around $99. So right off the bat, this game is going to be for a very special kind of person that not only is interested in war games, but also is interested in playing those war games as solo, and either lives alone or has a loving wife that's willing to let him or her place this U-boat somewhere in the house, because you're never getting this back in the box. And after building it the first time, I actually had to take it apart because some of the parts were uneven, and I had to re-glue those things. In the designer's tutorial on how to build a boat. He says you don't need to use much glue, and that's probably true in most cases. However, I was having a problem with one of the things being level, and whenever I was trying to put these little structural pieces in here, it kept bending down and I could never get it in there correctly. So I actually had to unbuild it, rebuild it, and glue everything together. That way it would sit nicely. And for people who may be a little bit OCD and want everything to fit perfectly, you're going to want to pull out some glue. But besides that, once you build this thing, you're not going to want to take it apart. It comes with a nice box, and you can honestly use that nice box for the rest of the nice components that come with the game, but you're not going to be putting this U-boat back in the box. Now, coming to the components. This, I think, is awesome because it's thematic and it looks like a box. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could pull these pieces apart and you could open that box. Very nice. The torpedoes, being able to take them apart and combine them to do other things, I also find extremely interesting. Here's the problem. Taking these different pieces and pulling them out and not seeing what they are and being able to put them on the little discs, the things that cover them up, is a little bit fiddly. Besides that, one accidental tip and all of the little sliders fall out of mine. I mean, one or two stay in, and it's not necessarily a problem if you already know about it. And I'm talking about accidents, something that doesn't necessarily happen all the time, but it could be kind of a bummer to find out secret information that you didn't know that a destroyer was coming, or you thought it was a ship and now you've dumped everything over and found out that a torpedo is headed your way and it was an accident and not a part of the game. So some of these pieces are fiddly, but hey, they're designer laser cut wood pieces. You get what you know it is. It looks good, but it's not necessarily as functional or usable as cardboard. Now, to the gameplay, I can tell you it isn't uninteresting. It's good. There is war in this game, and you're trying to figure out where things are, and I like that there is a way to have surprises in there. Like I said, sometimes you see something moving and you pick up a blip on your sonar and it looks like a ship or sounds like a ship or whatever. And one or two turns too late, you figure out it's a torpedo because it's just slammed into your submarine. I find that really, really interesting. But the fact that there are 13 different phases for the combat initiation phase, and you go through those 13 phases until either you escape or all the boats in that area are eliminated, that's a bit heavy. I mean, we're talking honestly, the moment I see a board game with more than 3 or 4 phases, I'm like, I don't know about that. But if, like I said, you are a war gamer and you're willing to take the time to play this game and you have a couple hours to spend to go through a mission, then this is something you could easily do. But if that's something you want and you're interested in, then this game is for you. Check out the Kickstarter, look at the other reviews, look at the tutorials on how to build stuff and how the game goes, and maybe give it a back. Till next time, Arc.